This episode of The Unstarving Musician is powered by liner notes. Learn from the hundreds of musicians and industry professionals I've spoken with for The Unstarving Musician on topics such as marketing, songwriting, touring, sync licensing, and much more. Sign up for liner notes at unstarvingmusician.com. It's an email newsletter from yours truly in which I share some of the best knowledge gems garnered from the many conversations featured on The Unstarving Musician. You'll also be privy to the latest podcast episodes and liner notes subscriber exclusives. Sign up at unstarvingmusician.com. It's free and you can unsubscribe at any time. Welcome to another episode of The Unstarving Musician. I'm Rabanzo. This is my podcast. It features conversations with indie music artists and industry professionals, all intended to help indie music artists better understand the marketing, business, and creative processes that power us to do more of what we love, make music. How are you doing today? I'm happy to have you here with me. I'm always happy to have you here with me. You knew that, didn't you? What are you doing? Again, I'm curious what you do when you listen to this podcast. Are you doing dishes? In the bath? You driving? Maybe I want to know. Maybe I don't. Depends. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're having a nice day or a nice evening wherever you are. So I was recently featured on The Working Musician, a podcast by David Pedrick. Pedrick? Man, let me look that up. That's crazy. I should know this. David Pedrick. That is right. Man. The memory's the first thing to go, usually. Anyway, I was in episode 175. David did a great job of kind of teasing out the reasons behind all the madness that goes on in my world, both musically and podcast-wise. It was fun. It was a fun conversation. He's a great podcaster. He's an amazing voice. I hope you'll check that out. It's the Working Musician Podcast, episode 175. The title's just 175, Rabanzo. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, of course, and wherever podcasts are found. I was writing about better gigs, getting better gigs earlier this week, and actually I was working on that last week, but for liner notes subscribers. And I was writing about some things that I had either hadn't thought about enough lately or really had never given thought to, because I've been digging into what others say about finding and booking gigs. And Mark Fenny from San Jose, I actually know him. He's a fantastic blues harp man, musician. He added to one of the things that I had said when dealing with venues and bookers is to have a few bands in your hip pocket in case you have to cancel out on a gig. And at the last minute, you can supply the venue with a backup and not leave them stranded. And especially if it's a good band or good artist, they'll love you for that. And the other thing, I have done that before, and I'm pretty sure I've written about it, but he also lets bookers know very actively that he's happy to fill in if they ever have a last-minute cancellation, that he's available. I love that. It seems so obvious, but I don't know if I've ever done that. People know that about me, but what about all the new venues that you meet? That seems like a really great thing to say. In other big news, I completed another trip around the sun. You may have noticed there was no new episode last week because I was on birthday vacation. Went to Monterrey, Mexico to see some family. It was a lot of fun. Ate some really nice food. Had some local beer. That was cool. But that's over. Starting a new trip. Effective about midweek last week. And something exciting I ran across. There's a gal, another person out of San Jose, California, Laura Chavez. I actually was at this club called, what was that called? Man, I'm at a loss. It wasn't San Jose Blues Bar. It was something blues, something. It's gone now. It was an icon of blues entertainment. And this underage girl and her mom come in. It was a blues jam that was going on. And this underage girl and her mom comes in. I don't remember how old she was, the girl being Laura Chavez, with her guitar. And she sits in on the jam, and my jaw just dropped. Of course it was cool to see a girl playing guitar really well, but she was just really good, and has continued to be really good. And I've seen her since then. She's been playing at a pretty high level for a number of years since then. And on Thursday, about a week or two ago, maybe a couple of weeks, she became the first female artist in the 44-year history of the National Blues Music Awards, formerly known as the W.C. Handy Awards, to win top honors as a guitarist. So congratulations, Laura Chavez. That was amazing. On a bittersweet note, there was a food bank out of San Diego that I guess had, I don't know what the full history is, but they were basically putting the gig on every year. I see a lot of blues artists go there, a lot of people I know. It looks great. Wish I'd have had gone to one or two of the ceremonies, but they announced that soaring inflation, supply chain challenges, and skyrocketing overhead costs for event infrastructure and entertainment had basically moved them to shutter the event. So that's it. They were, okay, so I did note that they actually had a 12-year run working the festival. I don't really know how it was going before then, but I guess that's it, unless somebody picks it up. That would be amazing if someone did, but that was good. Congratulations to Laura Chavez. She is amazing and so worthy. If you want to support this podcast, by the way, and we can use it always, helps keep the lights on, if you know what I mean, you can go to unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor and check out the many ways of offering your support. By being here and listening, you're supporting. Awesome. And by telling a friend, you would be further supporting. But if you want to take it to the next level, just go to our crowd sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor to see how you can show us your dedicated love, one time or ongoing. Thank you very much if you do go there, and for everything that you do in terms of tuning in and telling your friends, leaving reviews, whatever you do. Okay, I have an incredible guest today, Julieta Heredia. I had to think about that pronunciation. She's the guitarist and founding member of the band Fin del Mundo, which is based out of Buenos Aires. They formed in 2019 with roots in the southernmost region of Patagonia, Tierra del Fuego, and Chubut. I'm not sure if I said that last one right. Tierra del Fuego is an amazing name for a place to live. It's like a land of fire, in case you don't speak Spanish. Their music is driven by melodies, lyrics, and instrumental passages that combine an indie sound with nuances of emotional post-rock. I'm guessing that's something akin to what I might call new emo, which I don't know if that's a genre, but maybe it is now. While their first songs were released in April 2020 and were the soundtrack of strange days of isolation because of the stinking pandemic, their second release explores new directions to prove that the end of the world, which is what Fin del Mundo means if you really don't speak Spanish, is also the beginning of a new stage. I love that. Julieta shares with me her memories of growing up at the end of the earth in southern Argentina. Is that southern? Yeah. Man, I don't know. You're like at the center of the world practically, or the end of the world. The startup phases of Fin del Mundo, the KEXP YouTube performance that kicked things up a notch for the band, which was also how I found them. The evolution of their shows and their tours, post-pandemic release promotion, big shows that they have coming ahead down the pike, the messages behind their music, the band's writing process, and so much more. There's always more, right? It feels like this conversation feels like one of the few times I've spoken with a band that's in a new wave, writing a new wave of music. At least that's what it sounds like when I talk to her. You'll hear that in our conversation. I will put a link to the YouTube performance that caught my attention and prompted me to reach out to the band. Thank you, Julieta, for responding and being my guest for this episode. I hope you'll support them by following them and letting them know how much you like them. and whatever other means they offer for you to support them so that they can make their way to North America and Europe and wherever. That would be amazing. You can find them on Instagram, by the way, at Las Fin del Mundo. I'll put a little at Las Fin del Mundo, in case you don't know how to spell that, in the show notes, as well as a link to that podcast episode I mentioned I was going to be in, or that I was in. It'll all be there for you. All right, here is me talking to Julieta Heredia of Fin del Mundo. You guys are based in Buenos Aires?
Yes, we live in Buenos Aires, the four of us, but me and Lucia, both guitarists, we're from Chubut, that it's in the south of Argentina. And actually, I lived in another state that is Tierra del Fuego, that is an island in the south, the southernmost region of Argentina. Mm-hmm. And that's why we chose the name Fin del Mundo, the end of the world.
That just came to my attention that was possibly why you chose that name. This morning I was talking to my wife, and she reads some financial stuff, and a couple of the guys live in Argentina, and they call it the end of the world. Siempre, or Fin del Mundo.
Yes, it's like the slogan, you say, like the city of Ushuaia, that is the southernmost city in the world. So everything is Fin del Mundo there, like the park, the lighthouse, like everything has that name because it's the last one in the map.
Wow. And what was the name of the island you mentioned that you spent time on?
It's Tierra del Fuego.
What a name. Tierra del Fuego. That's great.
Yes, the land of fire. But it's I live in a city called Rio Grande, that it was not the one in the south of the island, but close to that place. That's where I grew up.
What was that like?
Very cold. Like winter all the year. It's I don't know. It's special, like particular weather, because I believe, I don't know, like in the north hemisphere, like in Finland or Sweden, I think I never been there, or Iceland maybe, that they have like snow in the winter, very cold weather, but also maybe spring or summer, like it's nicer weather. And in this island we have like mostly winter during all the year, and not that cold. It's like I don't know, 10, 15 or 20 degrees below zero centigrade.
Not so bad, I guess.
But then in spring or summer we have like, but then in summer we have 0 maybe, or 5. That's the maximum. So it's
in the summer,
very windy. Yes. Well, it's beautiful place. There are many things to do if you like skiing or camping, but it's difficult to be all the year with a lot of wind. We have to find many things to do inside our houses. That's why we used to have bands when we were 15. So things to do inside of the house, like the pandemic.
Yeah. Do you still have family or friends there?
Yes, I have many friends. I haven't been there for, I think, 5 years, and I'm hoping to go back with the band to play there soon. I have friends there, and then my family moved to Chubut, but it's another state in Patagonia as well, but it's not that far away. That's a little bit closer to Buenos Aires.
Yeah. How did you and the band meet?
First I met Julieta Heredia, that's Tita, we call her. She's the drummer, and we met in another band where we used to play that was called Boedo. And she also played. Actually, she's a bass player. She has been playing for almost 20 years in other bands, always playing bass. And then that was the first time that she started playing drums in this band that we had before. So I met her first. That band maybe lasted for 3 years. Well, I think it was at the end of 2019. We started with this new project that it was me, Tita, and there was another friend playing bass, but she wasn't going to. I mean, she was the bass player from this previous band that we had,
Mm-hmm.
and that band dissolved, and then my sister was playing bass for a while. We were 3, but she was also moving back to the south. So we had this friend Janina, and she was a friend with Tita also before for many years. So she was like, we thought about her to make this new band. And for a couple of months, we were the 3 of us, instrumental. We were looking for a singer, also a guitarist. And we were very lucky because it was like the first option that we had. We were not like looking for an audition or anything. We're just having a good time, 3 of us playing. So Shanina, the bass player, knew Lucia, who was also, she had a solo project. She had a solo album before that, and also playing guitar in many other bands. And so that's how we got together in, I don't know, that was the middle of 2019. In June, we are about to be 4 years with this formation, with this band. So that's where the 4 of us started playing. And we decided before even playing live the first show, we wanted to have some songs recorded. So the first thing we did was to go and record those 4 songs that are on the first EP.
Yeah, which sounds good, by the way. And I'm sorry, it's so funny. I just realized there are 2 of you with very similar first names. Do you go by Juliet or Julieta?
Yes, it's Julieta.
Julieta. Okay. So
Juli. It's the short. Juli.
Okay. All right. But they are identical then. Except
yes,
you say you call her Tita. Is that what you said?
Yes, Tita.
That's great. I like it. Wow. Well, I was going to say that you're a very young band, but wow, almost 4 years already.
Yes. As I told you before, like the 4 of us had many other bands before since we were teenagers. But yes, this band is almost 4 years old.
Well, forgive me for asking, but I figure it's fair because you all are still relatively or very young, depending on your vantage point. But may I ask how old you are?
Not so young. Well, I feel young, right? I'm 38, and Tita, drummer, is 37. Lucia is the youngest she's 33. Yes, 33, and Shan 35. So we're all in our 30s.
Wow, you all look so young too. I would have guessed you were all in your 20s. That's great.
Thanks.
Your future is very bright, I'm sure. So I'm sure you'll recall when I contacted you, I think on Instagram, I mentioned that I saw you on the KEXP YouTube performance that the 4 of you did somewhat recently, I believe. How did that performance come about for you?
It was, we always say, like a dream come true, because we only had like those 4 songs published when we received a message, and it was all like we didn't even know that was going to happen. Like we didn't have to apply or anything. We just received a message in a DM in Instagram asking if we had a manager. And this message was sent by one a journalist that works in KEXP. And so we answered that no, we don't have a manager. Like we do everything like inside the band, the 4 of us. So we sent our email, and then we got on the email like the official invitation from KEXP live in Argentina. So when we read that, we were like screaming, of course. And because it was unexpected, because it's like a dream that we had since we started the band, because many of our influences are the bands that we love. They all have like a KXP session, and we always, it's very important for musicians, I believe, because it's like, well, the best quality live sound that you can find. Like those sessions are I mean, video and sound, and also like being able to see live a lot for here in Argentina for many bands that never came here. So we pay a lot of attention to every session and look at what, I don't know, like since the sound, the pedals, the guitars that they use. So that's like unique for us that we're not able to maybe see live a lot of bands that we love. So we were really fans of the KXP sessions, and it was amazing when found out when we received this invitation. We didn't even know what was the lineup. Like, it was a very big surprise to see that there were many artists or bands that are very well known from Argentina, like Juana Molina. I don't know, like Nikki Nicole. She's very young, but she's like a superstar in trap music or urban music.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was and there were 12 bands. Half of them were like indie bands, independent or smaller, and we didn't really know how that came up to be. Like, we only had those 4 songs, as I told you, and no label. And I think when they came, there was like an interview with them, with all the staff from KXP, and they explained how they made the selection. So it was great to hear that. Like, they had a list from about 200 bands in Argentina, and they listened to everything and voted. Like, all the staff have their votes, and that's how they came to the last 12 bands that have their sessions in Argentina. And so that was like something very, I don't know, like that surprise, because it didn't matter that we don't have like a big label or many listeners. Like, they just decided what they liked most for from Argentina, and we were lucky to be there.
That's so cool. And it's a testament to how hard you had clearly been working as a band, and just the way that you clearly gel in the studio and in performing. Because I heard it and I was like, wow, you sound really good. And of course, visually, you're also striking, right? All women in the band, and all young looking. No, I'm just kidding. So,
Yeah.
what has happened since then? Did some exciting things come of it? Because, like you were saying, you had no manager, you had no label, and maybe you had some new songs by the time you actually did the performance. Other than living that dream, were there some other things that you've been seeing have been happening since the performance? What, besides, of course, the Unstarving
Well,
Musician podcast, of course, but
well, yeah, I mean, things didn't really change here for us. Like, we're playing in the same places, and we don't have a label yet. But yeah, we noticed that we started receiving a lot of messages from other countries, like, well, the comments, and also in our social media and our YouTube channel. Like, we started receiving a lot of messages from different languages. So that was so nice. Like, every day from, I don't know, Japan, Indonesia, there's always like a nice message there that we find. And, well, also, yeah, we received actually like an offer from a label in Spain that's going to make a vinyl LP with all our songs, like the songs that we already released. So that will be also thanks to KXP. That's, some people in Spain love to hear our music.
yeah.
We're focusing on recording our new album. Well, it was great to see that in so many other countries they are listening to our music, thanks
Yeah.
to that session.
When do you think the new album will be available for people to hear?
We're planning to record in October or November this year, so should be by the first half of 2024.
Very
Hopefully.
nice. Very nice. I saw that you have, well, by the time this episode drops, you will have already played, I think it's called Sonico Libre, a festival there in
Yes.
Argentina on the, yeah. And then I also saw on, maybe you can tell me a little bit about this one. It wasn't as easy to figure out, but maybe it looks like some sort of tour, El Nuevo Atlas Tour, featuring Fin del Mundo y Tomates Asesinos. What does that mean? I didn't look that up. Asesinos.
It's, I think there is a translation because it's a movie from the 70s. I think it's, I don't know if in English it's the same, but the translation is like killer tomatoes.
Oh,
Let me
nice.
see.
Oh, like
But it's
assassins. Like assassins.
yes.
Wow.
I think that was, yes, taken from a movie and a
Amazing.
cartoon. And that is a tour from another band that is from Cordoba, another state in Argentina. And it will be the first time that we're playing in that city, in that state. So we're trying to do that, to go to other cities. Like most of our shows are here in Buenos Aires and nearby cities. But this one will be the first one there in Cordoba, so we're very excited.
Yeah. Well, they both look like some exciting gigs. I saw some other things too on your, I think your link tree from Instagram, and I'll put all that in the show notes, and I will put that KEXP performance a link in the show notes for this, so hopefully some other people will check it out. But it all looks very exciting for you, and hey, there are worse cities for you to be having most of your gigs than Buenos Aires, so that sounds like a great place to be.
Yeah.
The latest thing that you have released, tell me if this is correct, is La Ciudad que Dejamos, that came out last year? Okay. Yeah, great collection. I like it. Tell me about the process of promoting it that you and the band went through to get it heard.
Yes, actually, that was going to be an LP, and that was our intention. That after releasing those first 4 songs in 2020, we wanted to, the next thing would be an LP. But well, sadly, of course, during those 2 years, 2020 and 2021, we were not able to play live. The lockdown was very extensive, of course, here. Like, I think the first time we played live was in March 2021. So it was a whole year without shows. And of course, that's impossible for a indie band to finance an album if we're not playing live. So we couldn't wait. We had already recorded 2 songs for this new EP, and we decided just not to wait for another maybe 2 years to wait for have 7 or 8 songs, and we just wanted to publish those 4 songs that we already had. But anyway, it was very nice to play live again, and we had a very nice show for the presentation of that new EP. So well, it was, I think in that year, yes, 2022, we really we hadn't had a lot of experience playing shows live. We only had 3 or 4 before that time.
Wow.
So we started really playing at least once or twice a month here in another close cities, as I told you before. Anyway, we have these 2 EPs with 4 songs each, and now that it's going to be an LP, like side A and side B, it almost feels like our first album.
Yeah, I can imagine. It seems like the band is playing for bigger audiences, like you've been gaining popularity maybe over the past couple years, and just during the time that you've been together. Does it feel like you're playing larger venues and reaching, wider audiences nowadays, or maybe that's the way it feels like it's coming toward you?
It depends, because some of our last shows were festivals, and there's like a new scene of bands in Buenos Aires
Mm-hmm.
that like emerged after the lockdown. Well, of course, many younger bands like in their early 20s. So it's like a new generation of bands, and there is a lot of people who, I mean, we started seeing that after the lockdown, every show was sold out, and there were new places to play. So this the last time the last show we had last week, I think, like 10 days ago, it was called Nuevo Dia. It's a festival with all the bands from New Generation, and it was, yes, I don't know, more than 1,000 people. It was the biggest gig that we had yet. But anyway, it was like a festival with 7 bands, and I think, well, the other new, well, yeah, new things that we had, like we got to play in Chile in March, so that was also thanks to KXP, and more people discovered our music this year. So we hope to keep playing other cities, other countries,
Yeah.
if we can.
How was Chile? Did you have fun? All of you had fun?
Yes, amazing. We went for the first time last year, actually, but that was also an invitation from a festival. And this time we kind of made our own tour with a band called La Ciencia Simple from Chile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they were great. They invited us, and I organized 3 shows, like a mini tour,
Nice.
and it was great. It was amazing. Yeah, like
And
discovering
the
other cities.
and the economics of it, how's it working out? I mean, this is it's almost like it's new again because of, like you mentioned, the pandemic. There was nothing, and now suddenly there are these new venues. And but when you're going out of town or out of the country, how are the economics working for you and the band? Is it pretty? Is it kind of tough, or does it feel pretty good? Like, hey, we made a little money.
We at least we're not losing, so it's like everything, like the tickets, yeah, like the trip is like we could pay everything with the earnings of the show, and also I said, well, that's also thanks to KXP that our like the number of listeners in all the platforms also raised, so we're using that to be able to play in other cities.
That's amazing.
So,
Very nice, and that's good to hear. I mean, I don't hear that from every band, and I read about so many bands. It's like we can't even tour. It doesn't work. We can't make it financially work, you know.
mhm.
So I mean, it's sad, but good that you can at least cover your expenses and get out there and get some exposure, and hopefully it will pay off big later.
Yes, yes. It's at least while I'm here to tour in Argentina, it's not that expensive. But of course, we need to go to some cities that we know where we have listeners, enough listeners, like to be able to pay the trip. But,
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Is the band
that's common.
very adept at playing like acoustic shows? Like and I ask because I'm curious if you could um, support a tour in part by doing like house concerts where the venues are doing that kind of donation thing, or
Mm.
recommended donation thing. Because I've talked to a number of artists that either that is their business model, or one of the more interesting conversations recently was with a guy who's been at it for a long time, and he's in I believe he's based in Nashville, but he said that he plans his tours differently now. He used to look at I think he would look at the big shows that he wanted to do first, and he would book those, and then he found himself trying to find little clubs and cafes and whatever to play around those shows when he was touring. But now he said he looks at, I believe he said, like going with, I'm going to find some places where I can do some house shows first, and then I'm going to build the rest of the tour around that and look for the big dates around that. So it has helped him to fund what he does. Now he may just travel. I think he does travel with a band, a small band. But anyway, I could see maybe that could work for you. Or do you guys ever do you guys? I keep saying you guys. Does the band ever play acoustically?
Not really, because we tried, well, many probably once or twice, like playing in a radio, like only guitar and bass. But we depend a lot of the drums and guitar pedals, so we would really need to change a lot our songs to make them acoustic. But for example, well, when you said that about touring, thankfully we have a lot of cooperation between bands, because for example, when we traveled to Chile, we were just the four of us, like flying in low cost, like the cheapest air ticket that we could find. So we couldn't take instruments, so anything, not even the guitars.
Oh man!
I think we we only took the pedals in our like backpacks, because we didn't have like only, I mean, but low cost, only a small backpack with our pedals. And the guys from La Ciencia Simple, they lend us everything: guitar, bass, all the drums, of course, amplifiers. So when they come, maybe next time they come here, we're going to do the same, like lend them everything. So there's a lot of cooperation between bands. Also, when we go to another city in Argentina, in Cordoba, we don't have to take anything. So just going and playing with the other bands that invite us.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very nice to hear. I guess I've seen that in the past as well, especially where there's some sort of festival and there's enough people, you can easily find musicians or a band to backline visitors, like you were saying. So have you found all these, these new cities, going out of the country, new listeners? Does it feel like you and the band are having to adjust the way you deal with? It's kind of a transition for you a little bit. I don't know if it seems that big or it's just like, nah, it's a natural progression. We've been waiting, but do you feel like you're having to adjust how you, your expectations or the way you approach performances or projects now? Is it any different than it was previously, the way you think about it?
Well, it's a lot of work that we do, as I told you, internally, everything. So the only thing that we need to adjust is like the time. We all have jobs that are not related to music. So I think the next step, well, we didn't really talk about it or decided anything, but it's like I believe for some of us, at least me and Lucia, or like half of the band, it's starting to be like a full-time job, the band, hopefully in a couple of years. But yeah, right now we're dealing with this, having two jobs, because one's the normal one that to pay our rents, and then the music that is many, like almost the same time. But we still didn't change our routine too much. We have one or two shows a month, and didn't think really what's going to to happen in the rest of the year, or when we had to make a presentation for the new album.
Right.
But I think, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I would imagine in your situation is very common, of course, with working, these jobs paying the rent, and then this thing's getting bigger and bigger. But anyway, it sounds like some challenges in the future, but some good ones. Keep growing, and hopefully the total dream happens, and you can play full time and however you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
What? So, are you able to say what you hope as a band? I don't know if you can speak for all of them, or maybe it's for yourself, but what do you hope that listeners take away from your music? Like, are there any themes that you try to convey in the lyrics or the music?
Well, of course we love to be able to travel with the music, and well, since we still cannot go that far, but it's really nice to see that the music is going to so many places, and like receiving every day these messages from other countries, and it's beautiful. We, especially during the lockdown, it happened that a lot of people told us that it was songs, something like very, what do you say, like un acompañamiento, like they didn't feel, I don't know, they made them feel less alone during
Sure.
those
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So it's actually when those songs actually were written before the pandemic. Was just released in April 2020, but they were composed in 2019, and it was very like a casualty or like coincidence that the theme, I mean, the songs were, many parts of the lyrics were about these landscapes from the south of Argentina. So it's telling you that it's this place far away, that the weather is so extreme, and it makes, I mean, makes you feel alone and distant many times. So it was like a coincidence of them. Well, it's actually the songs were talking about other things, but during the lockdown, um, so many people could relate to that feeling. So no, it was something really nice that also for us during those months that we couldn't even rehearse or see each other, we were like connected by the songs and the messages that we received from other listeners.
Yeah, that's great how listeners and fans and supporters can draw their own meanings from songs and let it take on a life of its own,
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
than the way it started. It can you, for people that are hearing you talk about the band and have never seen or heard you, can you talk about, just to give them an idea of what your music is about sonically and everything? Can you talk about the different genres and influences that the band draws on, and a bit about the musical traditions and styles that inspire you as a musician?
I think it's a result of the fact that the four of us, make everything, every song. Like the drummer is also a bass player, so she's always composing as well. It's maybe like unlike most bands that there's maybe a guitarist or a singer that has like a big role in composition.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's like for the like the same. We vote for everything, and every part of the songs have. I mean, we discuss everything. So I think that's why we end up with songs that have many different influences, and even in one song it could happen. So many influences come from the indie rock bands like, I don't know, Sonic Youth, or Pixies, or Pavement, and other parts from most post rock bands, like the instrumental and the guitar parts. I really like and drummer as well, and the bassist. This band Explosions in the Sky or Mogwai. Some parts are very influenced by post rock, and also Midwest emo. Other bands from Argentina that, well, in Argentina we have also a very big tradition of indie music influenced by, the 90s, the sound um, of indie bands, like especially Pavement or Sonic Youth, as I told you before. So I think that it's a reflection of that the fact that we all make the songs together during the practice. Like we never take one song like individually. And the guitars, we pay a lot of attention to the composition, that it happens naturally during the practice. We're not really, like musicians that discussing on the notes, or but it happens like telepathically, we say, when we we just start playing a song, and using a lot of effects. But then when we had to record or like make how do you say, like maquetas, we say, before going to the studio,
Sure,
where
demos,
we
yeah.
have like a demo, yeah,
Mm.
like a demo. And then we realized that we were doing very interesting things that we didn't even think about with the two guitars, both. So it happens mostly, yeah, during the practice, the composition. But then, well, with all the effects, and sometimes it changes a little bit. But the important thing is that the four of us are like planning and thinking every part.
That's actually a beautiful thing. It's less common today, as you know, because of technology and various other things, and sometimes just one person writing thing. So it's very cool that the four of you get together and flesh out ideas and practice them and have accidental things happen that clearly turn into some good ideas too. So I love it. I love it. So I'm going to.
It takes more time.
Yeah, sure, but it's fun. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We love the result. It's like it takes a lot of to agree with 4 parts, but it's always a great result.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna tell everyone about your Instagram. That seems like you're the band's best hub for finding all the different places that you are. The band is actually doing quite well, I think, on social and on Spotify in terms of the traction that you're getting and followers and listeners. So congratulations. But Fin del Mundo on Instagram, and I will put a link for all the non-Spanish speakers who are like, what? To find everything that the band is up to. Julieta, it was a pleasure talking with you.
Same with you. Thank you for the interview.
You got it. If you do not yet have a website for your music, check out Bandzoogle. It was created to help musicians and bands build their website and manage direct-to-fan marketing and sales. Bandzoogle features amazing design options, a commission-free store to sell merch, music, tickets, and you get detailed fan data. And there's more. Try it free at bandzoogle.com. Use the promo code ROBONZO, that's ROBONZO, to get 15% off your first year. Thank you again for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of The Unstarving Musician, please follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also leave us feedback at unstarvingmusician.com/feedback. Find links for people and things mentioned in this episode at unstarvingmusician.com. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.